If you've ever gotten married, you know that weddings are crazy expensive. From paying for the venue, to the cake, to the DJ who's going to get everybody out feeling good on the dance floor after they've had a few too many. Today's guest has found a way to use her talents as a makeup artist to not only help brides on their big day, but also establish a highly lucrative side hustle. This is After School Empire, the podcast that helps teachers like you make extra money by launching and growing their own income-generating side hustles. My name is Tony Neely. I'm a veteran teacher and a lifelong serial side hustler. Through one-on-one coaching and leading school-wide professional development workshops, I've helped many teachers launch their side hustles. And now, it's your turn. So grab a notebook and your favorite pen, because today is the day we start building your after-school empire. All right, y'all, welcome to today's episode of After School Empire. As always, I'm your host, Tony Neely. And today we've got another teacher hustle spotlight. Today we're with Miss Megan Howard Maynard. Megan, how are you doing today?
Hey, Tony. I'm good. How are you?
I am better than I deserve every day. It is summer break. You have any big summer plans?
We've got a little family beach vacation planned. We're doing quite a few home improvement projects. It seems like summertime is when all those happen. But other than that, we're just planning to kind of keep it fairly low key.
Nice.
This summer.
We need that.
Yeah.
We definitely need that time to kind of recharge as teachers. And, my principal always says that you can't pour out of an empty vessel. And so
true.
So we need this time.
So true. So, I do have one professional development next week, but that's my only one for the summer. So
are you leading it or taking it?
I'm taking it.
Okay.
They're changing around some curriculum in our county. So I am a literacy lead for my school. So I've got to go learn the information and then deliver it back to my colleagues in the fall.
Awesome. So you're a literacy lead. Tell us a little bit more about what you do in education.
Currently, I'm a first grade teacher at Big Ridge Elementary School for Hamilton County Schools, and I just finished my 13th year for the county. I graduated from UTC. I have my undergrad as well as my master's in education. My master's is as a reading specialist. It's kind of under the leadership umbrella. I decided not to go with administrator. I didn't want to ever be pulled out of the classroom to do administration. So after I graduated, I got a job teaching inner city schools. I was in inner city Chattanooga schools for 4 years, transitioned to a heavy ESOL, Hispanic population school in Eastridge for another 4 years, and then left that school. I loved my time in both schools, but left that school to pursue instructional coaching. And I told myself I would do that for 3 years to see if I loved it. And at the end of 3 years, I decided that adults were not as fun as children. So I went back into the classroom at Big Ridge, and I just finished my 3rd year at Big Ridge in 1st grade.
That's awesome. So where in this journey did you realize, in addition to teacher pay, I need some supplemental income? I need a side hustle.
Pretty immediately. I can say that pay has gotten better, some better over the years. So when I started, it was still pretty dismal in the state of Tennessee. I believe we were somewhere ranked like 39th to 41st in teacher pay. And so when I started, I immediately knew I needed a couple of side hustles. And so I started initially in the music side hustle, and then about 6 years ago, ventured off into the side hustle we're going to talk about today, which is the makeup artistry business that I have. So
yeah,
that's been 6 years in the making.
So how did you get into the makeup side? Was that something that you had always done and just enjoyed? People recognized you had a talent or knack for it? Or was it something you intentionally saw there was a gap in need for and decided, hey, this is some place where I can make some extra cash?
A little bit of both. I have been doing and playing with makeup, I guess, my whole life, since childhood. But in college, I would do friends' makeup or do my makeup. And, I started at UTC in 2004. So social media was not a thing. There was YouTube, And that was pretty much it.
We had some mine back then. We had our top
There
8.
was a little bit. Okay. Yeah. There was, I'm not going to reveal who my top 8 were because they'll just be, other people will be mad.
Remember, people would be mad if they weren't in your top 8.
So mad. And you just have to switch them around just to appease people. Yeah. But I really, as far as like learning, YouTube was kind of the only thing. And so there were no makeup influencers. There wasn't any of that. There was really Bobby Brown just teaching on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would find some of her videos and watch them and just try to practice on myself and others. And so I ended college, started teaching, really didn't have a lot of time my first few years of teaching because those first few years you just feel so bogged down. You feel so overwhelmed because you're just trying to get used to this lifestyle that teaching has become, sadly.
Definitely not an 8 to 4, 9 to 5 job, especially those first few years.
Oh, it's just not. And when I was, inner city also just takes quite an emotional toll on you. And so I just wasn't quite prepared to kind of launch a business at that time. But, fast forward a few years, I had a few friends asking me to do their makeup for weddings or events, just on the side, cash under the table, very, friends and friends of family kind of thing. And then my best friend, Natalie, actually introduced me to this makeup company, and they're called Saint, and it's a cream-based makeup company, which was fairly new to the scene. Cream makeup has been around for a while, but not in really the way that they use it or distribute any of that. And so I kind of fell in love with the product first and joined the company, was able to like sell the product, and then quickly from there realized how good the product was, started honing in my makeup artistry skills, and then decided to start shadowing and being trained by other makeup professionals in the area. And then from there launched and set off on my own, launched my own business. So
you started out as a product consultant, and then from there, did you continue as a consultant still on behalf of that business, or did that become something completely separate?
So it's technically separate. I am still a consultant for them. I still use them in my makeup kit. I still love them and I still wear them myself, still wear that product myself. So I'm still a consultant for them, but it almost morphed into two separate things. There was the makeup sales side and there was the makeup artistry side. And those are two very different things. So, but you really need, both of them. I really can't do the makeup sales side without the artistry side, or the artistry side without the sales side. So it's kind of worked out really well for me, just kind of having them in tandem.
Yeah. So what made you decide to launch off on your own?
Well, I think just as terrible as it sounds, more money,
That doesn't sound terrible. That's the whole point of this show, is talking about
I know.
making extra money. So
Definitely. Well, underneath other artists, I had an amazing team of artists that I worked with, and I would be like the second artist or like the assisting artist for weddings and events until I got enough under my belt that I could build a portfolio and build some experience and get my name out there more. And from there, I just started booking on my own based on my own talents. So it wasn't anybody who was trying to keep me from doing, my leads were not trying to keep me from being on my own. They were just trying to give me exposure and experience. And I will be forever grateful to them for that, for how much I've learned, how much they taught me. But I was just kind of like the little baby bird that was ready to go off on my own. So I could do it on my own. Yeah. So, and I still have an amazing relationship with my lead artist.
Awesome.
We still work together on large weddings and large events. And it's probably been fun for her to watch me do well in this career because she helped launch me into it.
Hey there. I really hope you're enjoying this episode of After School Empire. If you're gaining any benefit from this podcast at all, could I ask you to do one thing? Please take a moment and share it with other teachers. Just a simple social media post or text message to a colleague not only helps this show keep growing, but can also be the first step in helping a friend that you care about learn how to gain more financial independence by launching and growing their own side hustle. Thanks so much. Now back to the show. So tell me how your business operates. Are people paying you per event? Do you have certain clients on retainer?
A lot of my business comes from doing makeup for weddings and events. And so a bride or a coordinator will reach out and ask. They've either found me on social media or they've been referred by former brides or former bridesmaids. And they, log into my website, they look at my portfolio, and then they reach out via that portfolio or that website rather. And then they book me initially based on like my contract and they book me initially, and then we do a trial. And then from there, I come on site for their wedding day. And a lot of times the bride will cover makeup. A lot of times people for those events or those weddings will pay separately. And so I'm just being paid per service. So, whether someone's paying me for all 8 services or whether I'm being paid individually by those bridesmaids, that's kind of how it worked. So.
Got you. So you mentioned the trial.
Uh-huh.
So say somebody hires you, you show up, you come in, you do the trial makeup, and then they say, we're going to go a different direction. Do you have something in your contract that says that they're still accountable for X amount, or is that a free trial hoping that they will then get you on for the main event?
It honestly comes down to I just have some timelines in my contract. So I do try and get everybody's trial done within a timeline where if they were not for some reason happy or we didn't seem like a good fit, they could always break the contract without any consequences and move on with another artist. I'm happy to say that doesn't happen very often. I've had some really great luck with some amazing brides. I had a bride who she was out of town. She had to do her trial the day before her wedding. And at that point, hopefully they've, honestly studied my portfolio. They think that will be a good match. They like the looks that I do. And we can work out anything that they may want differently on that trial date before the next day. But sometimes it just kind of works like that. But yes, there are some rules in my contract that if they break a date, I think it's 3 weeks before the event, then they are required to pay half of the total cost of each face. So just because within 3 weeks I'm not going to be able to book another wedding, that's
no, absolutely.
So
and it's actually it's marketing genius. Whenever I'm doing coaching or people send me questions, they're like, hey, I have this product or this service, should I offer a free trial period or money back guarantee? The answer is always yes, because that shows you're standing by whatever product or service you're providing. And second, like you said, 99% of the time, people aren't going to cancel or people aren't going to send the item back, but it takes the pressure off them to say, okay, I'm going to try this out. I'm assuming I'm going to like it. If I don't, then I have that kind of fail safe. But really, that's just earning you goodwill with these customers. And so, yeah, anytime that you can offer a trial or a money back period or whatever, it's only going to help you. And we as side hustlers tend to be really afraid of that. Oh my goodness, what if people cancel orders? What if they want a refund? They're normally not.
Right.
And if they do, then it's really going to help you see what's wrong with your product or your service that you may be able to improve in the future to make sure that doesn't happen again.
And sometimes it's not even a what's wrong. Sometimes it's just not a right fit, right?
Yeah,
because everybody
absolutely.
has their own talents and everybody has their own wants. And I might do makeup a lot differently than somebody else in town. And I think it's totally okay to say, you know what, we just weren't a right fit for each other. And that's all right. And, I think over the first couple of years, if I had a cancellation, you blame yourself always. But I think as I've gotten older and as I've gotten into this business, you are just not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. Or your price point's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. And you have to be okay with any and all of that.
Absolutely. And I always say that also gives an air of legitimacy to what you do. So like, take a random Amazon product. If you see 5,000 reviews and every single one of those reviews is 5-star, this is the greatest thing ever, you're going to start having some red flags going off. But when you see one or two that say, I didn't like it, this wasn't for me, it does give you an air of legitimacy. One of my side hustles is I actually have online courses and I teach teachers how to utilize AI to help streamline their planning for their classes.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my first ever 2-star review on this. I have
Oh,
over 800 students from like 75 countries, and I got a 2-star review, and they said the teacher tends to over explain. And I was like, you know what? That's fine.
uh-huh.
Because you just told somebody else that says, hey, I'm really nervous about AI. I'm not very techie. You just told them that I'm going to over explain things and that's going to make them feel more comfortable. And that just made me look even more legitimate.
Absolutely. I think it's great when a teacher over explains. Take it from a first grade teacher.
Yeah.
I have to over explain everything. Everything I do.
So tell me about your marketing. I know you said that a lot of it's going to be coming from referrals. Do you have some kind of partnership with wedding coordinators, or is it just kind of organic?
Yeah, there are events out there at different venues. A lot of them are set up through venues. I have worked in probably every venue in this multiple times. Um, and a lot of coordinators do have a preferred vendor list. And so I am on several of those lists. And so are other makeup artists. It's not just me. It's like, they give brides a list of DJs, different caterers, different, fill in the blank. And then the bride can, or the coordinator, whoever is, doing the booking, can find the one that fits them best or the few that fit them best and reach out and talk, pricing and availability and that kind of thing. So I've gotten a lot of it's from vendor lists. I've gotten a lot from social media. I'm part of a Facebook wedding groups in town that are North Alabama, North Georgia, also included in that. So when people reach out, do an ISO or in search of a makeup artist or whatnot, if I happen to see it, I just drop my portfolio links and say, hey, depending on your date, I'm available that day. Or if the bride actually specifies what date they're getting married, I say, I'm available that day. Here's my portfolio. And then they can look over it and then reach out if they feel like we would be a good fit for each other. And then, yes, of course, word of mouth referrals. Or I also, in my personal practice, I do something called a touch-up kit, and I give that to every bridesmaid and the bride during the or after the makeup service. And inside this kit, there is, a little a lip sample of the lip color we decided to go with. There's like a powdered sponge, just some things that they would need to kind of upkeep their makeup throughout a very long day. But also in that same one, I drop my business card. And on the back of my business card is a QR code that takes you straight to my portfolio. And so I have booked also giving those out. So bridesmaids who then in turn get married, a lot of times will contact me because they enjoyed their makeup as a bridesmaid and they already know my work and have experienced my work and my work ethic. So then they reach out as well. So it's just a variety. I think you have to hit multiple types of marketing to really get it.
And
Yeah.
I'm assuming those touch-up kits are also a lead magnet that are going over to a sales page potentially where they can buy that product from you in the future
Yeah.
so you can get some of that commission.
Yes. And when people love the makeup, I always mention to them that I also sell it. And I tell them that my business card is in the touch-up kit. And on my business page, it opens right to my portfolio. But in the drop-down tabs, there's an about me, contact me, and then there's a shop. And so it takes them straight to my affiliate link through my company Saint, and they can shop the makeup that I've put on them. A lot of times they'll reach back out because they say, remember what shade I am or what color I am or those kinds of things. And if they reach out quickly enough, a lot of times I will remember and tell them, or I set up another meeting with them so we can talk strictly, everyday makeup and not event makeup. So it does definitely lead into a lot of different avenues.
So you've been referencing your portfolio quite a bit. You also had mentioned social media. Tell us a little bit more outside of just dropping links into wedding groups, regional wedding group. What does your social media presence look like?
Well, I believe I kind of have a very whole person idea of social media. Like I want someone to get to know me as a person, not just me as an artist or me as a teacher. So my social media, technically, like if you go to my Instagram, Megan Howard Maynard, you're going to see a little bit of everything. You're going to see makeup and makeup reels, but you're also going to see some home improvement. You're going to see my dog, see our trip to the beach or my stepson or my husband. Like, I just believe in like showing myself as a whole person. Um, but I also know that a lot of people want to see specific, business. And so I really do generally, funnel them towards my portfolio because if you look at my portfolio, it is just like one fair. You can scroll all the way down, way back like 6 years ago, and see a lot of that I've done. And my portfolio and my website are all linked in my social media accounts as well. So if someone doesn't want to see about the amazing garden I just planted, they just want to see my makeup skills, it's linked through my social media.
So are you posting those as reels? Are you posting carousels? What are you primarily posting on Instagram when you are trying to be intentional about marketing your side hustle?
I try to do a little bit of everything. So if I haven't done a reel in a while, I'll ask Brian if I film me putting makeup onto you today. And usually they're like, no, go right ahead. And I will film the whole thing. It's like a 35-40 minute session. And then I will just like speed it up super fast to make it under a minute. So people can see like from start to finish what it looks like, but in a really quick amount of time. Cause it has a large attention span these days. You got to get done quick. Or I will do, photos, side by side photos of the bride, maybe a before and after, or maybe both of them after, but like showcasing the eyeshadow look or showcasing the lip looks that I did or, carousels. So I try to do a mix of different things on social media.
I like that you said you think of it as a holistic, a whole person approach to social media. How are you balancing life between your side hustle and all the other responsibilities that you have as a teacher, wife, mom, gardener? How are you balancing that?
That is a great question. And sometimes I'm so good at it. And sometimes I am the worst at all of the things. I think that it is important to know that in no matter what profession you're in, whether it be your 9 to 5 or your 8 to 3, whether it be my teaching position, whether it be my makeup or my music, that burnout is so real, even in side hustles. And I think in the beginning, I was so excited. I wanted it to launch. I wanted it to be huge that I was taking every single makeup gig that came my way. I was working, Monday through Friday teaching school and doing all the extra involved there. I was even doing makeup after school for different events or for color matches or things with my business. And I was working a wedding every Saturday and every Sunday. And after a year of that, I thought to myself, I cannot go on like this any longer. I cannot. And I said, it's just not worth it. It wasn't worth my health. It wasn't worth all the things. And what actually made me take a break really is I got into a pretty bad car accident and tore my Achilles tendon and was immobile. And I even had to take FMLA from teaching because Big Ridge doesn't have an elevator, which is a whole other thing. But so I had to take time off. And when I started back, I realized that it was so important to find that balance. And so I made a rule for myself that I was only going to take and book 2 weddings a month. It's going to be really important for me to have weekends with my family, weekends just to, decompress and take a breath and do some things that were important to me. And since then, I've really tried to stick to that. We had a few hiccups in the road. My husband left his job and is now employed elsewhere. But during that time, before he switched jobs, I was the sole breadwinner. And as a teacher, that's so scary. And so I opened up my books completely and just started taking, pretty much as many weddings as I could again. So I'm starting to get back to that point where I can start saying no again to certain clients and certain weddings on certain dates, and just kind of get back into the swing of doing some things outside of that, because I never want it to feel like a job.
That, for me, is the primary distinction between having a second job and having a side hustle, is you have that element of autonomy. If you want to expand it and say, hey, we need this added income, you can open up your books. If you're saying, hey, I tore my Achilles and I need to push pause on this for a while, you can. If you want to cap it out at 2 or 3 weddings a month, you can. That's not an option if you were clocking into a second job outside of your normal teaching gig.
Right. The autonomy is absolutely the most important thing. That is also something that I looked for in an administrator, honestly, that I wanted to work for long term, like till retirement age. I wanted an administrator as a teacher that gave me autonomy to do what was right for students. And I found that at Big Ridge, and that's why I'm probably never going to leave school. Because now I feel like I have total autonomy in both of my professions, and it's just put me in a really good state of mind health-wise. So
that's awesome. If there's a listener who's like, man, I love doing makeup, what kind of advice or tips would you give another teacher that's thinking about getting a side hustle in the makeup industry?
Oh, find some people that you admire, and find even some local people that you admire, because there is so much untapped talent locally. I mean, yes, you could get on Instagram and you could find the beauty influencers and you could do all of that, but find local people that you admire their skill, you admire their talent, and ask to shadow them, ask to assist them, ask to clean brushes for them, and just watch and be a sponge and soak it all in and decide if that's something that you could feasibly do one day. And go from there. But I think just, getting that like hands-on experience is what's going to be so important in them deciding whether or not this business is for them.
Awesome. Megan, thanks so much for your time. If people want to find you online, find you on social media, pull up your portfolio, reach out, ask you questions, where can they find you?
They can find me a number of places. So my social media is Megan Howard Maynard. That's both Instagram and Facebook. No spaces. Megan Howard Maynard. They can find me there. And then my business website and my portfolio is meganhowardmakeup.format.com. They can find that to book with me, or to look at my pricing, or to see my portfolio. And then they can always contact me through meganhowardmakeup@gmail.com.
Awesome, Megan. This has been so much fun talking with you.
Thank you.
And we'll be sure to get all of those linked up in the show notes so people can click and go straight on, start following you, and see how awesome your portfolio is.
Oh, thank you so much, Tony. It was honestly my pleasure to do this. I think this is such an amazing series, just spotlighting teachers and the things we do after hours,
Well, thanks so much. That's really kind of you. For more resources and support, be sure to visit www.afterschoolempire.com and sign up for my mailing list. I promise not to spam you, and you'll be the first to know about new side hustle resources that are available from After School Empire. Until next time, remember, people want to give you money. You just have to find a reason for them to do so.